is your brain. And this is you. Neuroscience tells us that we are all born with millions of neural connections just waiting to be retained, strengthened, or pruned, depending on our learning experiences as we grow up.
We can see the way these neural connections are developed through the analogy of wearing in various pathways through a forest. Let's pretend you walk through a particular part of a forest every day. You only walk to 3 places, and so you've created 3 paths. One leads you to a river, one takes you up a mountain, and the other to a treehouse. To reach your destinations, you always walk the same paths, and so they have become well-worn and clear. Then one day, as you stand on top of the mountain, you notice a shed in the distance. You want to investigate, but there is no path to lead you there. So you clear away the bush and make a new path. You enter the shed and find an awesome library. Each day you decide to go and read in the shed and eventually begin to notice that the path is also becoming well worn. It is not yet as distinct as your other paths, but it is still noticeable enough for you to find your way. Essentially, in our brains, we can retain existing neural pathways if we continue to make regular use of them. And we can also build new pathways by beginning a certain behaviour and repeating it regularly. The more we use our neural pathways, the stronger they become, and the better we can recall that information or repeat that behaviour. As mentioned earlier, we are all born with millions of these connections. However, the pathways that are not used are eventually pruned off by the brain because they are unnecessary. This explains why we can't do things very well if we haven't spent much time practicing or gaining experience in those areas. So how exactly can we make sure the right pathways are being built, retained, and strengthened when it comes to the learning experience of students? Thankfully, some intelligent researchers have gone before.
So we have Jean Piaget and Lev Vygotsky. These researchers are recognised for their major contributions to the theory of constructivism. Constructivism suggests that right from birth, children acquire knowledge and assemble schemas which act like pathways and structures to continuously build on their knowledge. But for children to build on these schemas, the new knowledge must be built on already existing knowledge or experiences. This is where Vygotsky assembled the idea of the zone of proximal development, looking at how an individual's community, family, and school environments connected and contributed to the way learning occurred. In practice, this theory relies on a mentor or teacher figure directing and facilitating a learning experience in a way that constructs new concepts on top of existing ones. Another researcher, a psychologist by the name of John Flavel, established the theory of metacognition in the late 70s. Metacognition can be described as an executive control process. It literally decides what thought processes need to be used, when they should be used, as well as why and how they should be used. It refers to the brain's ability to monitor, manage, and organise our own mental activities. This theory is designed to teach students how to reflect and process information so they have the skills to learn effectively for themselves. You've all heard the saying, give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish and you feed him for a lifetime. In the same way, give a student the answer and you solve their problem for a day. Teach a student the metacognitive skills to find the answer and you solve their problem for a lifetime. Essentially, students will learn better if you teach them how.
Another psychologist, Albert Bandura, conducted an experiment called the Bobo Doll Study, which paved the way for research into the theory of social and emotional learning. In this study, an adult acted violently towards a Bobo doll, while a group of children watched. When placed in the same room alone with the doll, the children mimicked the same violent actions they had witnessed. This demonstrated that children learn behaviours from the environments they are in, based on the behaviours they observe from other models around them. The results of this experiment triggered a huge push for research into how emotional well-being and social interactions can impact learning. Many years later, social and emotional learning can now be defined as the process through which we develop and effectively apply the knowledge, attitudes, and skills necessary to understand and manage emotions, set and achieve positive goals, feel and show empathy for others, establish and maintain positive relationships, and make responsible decisions. Social and emotional intelligences are difficult to separate when regarding which human behaviours or areas of learning they are responsible for. What we do know is that all emotions are social and that all social interactions drive our emotions. In a practical sense, children learn best in a safe learning environment where they feel valued. It allows students to build positive relationships, feel and show empathy, and make good life decisions. This theory incorporates the use of metacognition and constructivism, with teaching the skills for regulating and building upon the concepts of self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, relationship skills, and responsible decision making.
One of the most recent theories to emerge from research considers the role of technology in learning for us today in the 21st century. George Siemens generated the term connectivism to describe how learning can take place through methods other than human contact, such as information and communications technology. This includes computers, the internet, iPads, and interactive whiteboards. Connectivism links to Vygotsky's zone of proximal development, using technology in stepping students towards semi-independence in a variety of skills. Ideas are also borrowed from constructivism, making links to prior learning, but not entirely basing learning on it. Technology is incredibly relevant in today's society, and so it is crucial for educators to provide opportunities for students to responsibly use it for their own learning in a meaningful way.
This is your brain, and this is you. Starting at birth, you began to learn and continued learning through childhood, adolescence, and now adulthood. All learning theories have great advantages and practical uses in the classroom, and regardless of which one is chosen, the most important thing is that the child is the focus of their own learning. Each child will learn differently. Therefore, as educators, our job is to cater for each child's needs. This is your opportunity. This is you.